Welcome to Nightmare Fuel Stories. Broadcast number 44. I don't know if anyone will ever hear this. The battery on my radio is dying, and I've been rationing power for days now, but I need to record what's happened here. What's still happening? My name is Dr. Marcus Webb. I was the lead meteorologist at Outpost Sigma, a weather research station perched on the edge of the Arctic Circle. We were studying climate patterns, atmospheric anomalies, the usual. 6 of us were stationed here for a 14-month rotation. Now I'm alone, at least I think I am. It started 3 weeks ago. The equipment had been acting strangely for days, readings that made no sense, instruments powering on without human input, data that contradicted itself. We chalked it up to the extreme cold, the isolation, the antiquated systems in this godforsaken outpost. We were wrong. The station was built in the 1970s, all brutalist concrete and steel, designed to withstand the harshest conditions nature could throw at it. The main building houses our living quarters, the mess hall, rec room, and primary lab. 3 auxiliary buildings contain specialized equipment: the radio tower, the atmospheric sampling lab, and the long-range radar facility. Director Harmon had been here the longest, 4 rotations. She knew the place better than anyone, every creak and groan, every temperamental circuit. When she first mentioned the ghost readings, we laughed it off. The barometric pressure sensors are picking up impossible fluctuations, she said during dinner one night, her fork paused midway to her mouth. Like something's compressing the air around us, then releasing it. Regular as a heartbeat, probably just equipment failure, Chen suggested, our systems engineer. Some of this tech is older than I am. I've checked everything, Harmon insisted. It's working perfectly. That's what worries me. The next day, the thermometers began their dance. Outside temperature readings would plummet from -30 degrees C to -120 degrees C in seconds, then rocket back up to near freezing. Impossible swings that would have killed us all if they were real. Sensor malfunction, Rodriguez, our junior meteorologist, declared confidently. I'll replace them tomorrow. He did. The new sensors showed the same patterns. Then the power started cycling. Not full outages, we were prepared for those, but deliberate, methodical power downs and restarts of specific systems. The radar would shut off for exactly 3 minutes, then power back up. The atmospheric sampling equipment would run a full diagnostic cycle without anyone initiating it. The emergency beacon would activate for precisely 45 seconds before silencing itself. It's like the station has developed a mind of its own, Patel said one night as we huddled in the mess hall, listening to the rhythmic hum of equipment turning on and off throughout the facility. Or something's controlling it, Harmon muttered, her face illuminated by the emergency lights as the main power cycled again. We called in the anomalies, of course. Base camp promised to send a maintenance team when weather permitted. But the storms had been relentless that month, one blizzard after another battering our little outpost. No one was coming anytime soon. The dreams started next. I first noticed it when Chen mentioned seeing figures in the snow during his watch. Just out of the corner of my eye, he explained over breakfast. Like someone standing out there watching the station. Probably snow blindness, I suggested, or sleep deprivation. You've been pulling double shifts. No, he insisted. I'm seeing them in my dreams too, standing around my bed, watching. One by one, the others admitted they'd been having similar experiences. Dreams of being observed by silent, patient figures. Glimpses of movement in the whiteout beyond our windows. The sensation of being followed through the station's corridors. I didn't tell them I'd been experiencing it too. As the senior researcher after Harmon, I felt responsible for maintaining morale. But the truth was, my dreams had been invaded by something I couldn't explain. In them, I'd wake in my bunk to find my room filled with a pale blue light. And in that light, figures not quite human, not quite. Anything I could name would stand around my bed, their featureless faces bent toward me with an air of clinical curiosity. The dreams were so vivid that I'd wake gasping, convinced they had been real. More than once, I found my sheets damp with sweat despite the perpetual chill of the station. Then Kowalski disappeared. He'd gone to check the atmospheric sampling equipment during a brief break in the storms. Standard procedure. The walk to Auxiliary Building 2 took 10 minutes at most. When he didn't return after an hour, we tried raising him on the radio. Nothing. Harmon and I suited up to search for him. The wind had picked up again, driving needles of ice against our faces as we followed the guide rope to Building 2. Inside, everything was immaculate. The equipment hummed efficiently. All systems normal, no sign of Kowalski. He must have gone to one of the other buildings, Harmon shouted over the wind as we made our way back to the main facility. But Kowalski wasn't in the radar facility, or the radio tower, or anywhere else we looked. The storm's getting worse, Rodriguez pointed out as we gathered in the control room. If he's out there without shelter, we all knew what that meant. Death by exposure would take less than 30 minutes in these conditions. We organized search patterns, established radio check-ins, and ventured out in pairs. For hours, we combed the immediate area around the station, fighting against winds that threatened to tear us from the guide ropes. Nothing. As night fell, or what passes for night during the Arctic winter, a deeper darkness in the perpetual gloom, we were forced to suspend the search. The temperature had dropped to -45°C. The wind chill made it feel like -70°C. No human could survive that, not even in our specialized gear. "We'll resume at first light," Harmon decided, her voice thick with exhaustion and something else. Fear maybe, or guilt. That night the equipment went haywire. Every system in the station activated simultaneously, radar spinning, weather instruments cycling through readings, communications equipment broadcasting static on all frequencies. The lights flickered in perfect synchronization with the static bursts. The temperature inside the station plummeted until we could see our breath clouding before us, and through it all, a sound. Low and rhythmic like the beating of an enormous heart, it seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. "What the hell is happening?" Patel demanded, her fingers flying over the control terminal. "I can't shut anything down. It's like the whole station is pulsing," Chen observed, his face ghastly in the strobing lights. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, everything stopped. The lights stabilized. The temperature began to rise. The equipment fell silent. "Everyone okay?" Harmon asked, looking around at our stunned faces. Before anyone could answer, the radio crackled to life. "Help me." The voice was distorted, barely recognizable, but we all knew who it was. Kowalski. Rodriguez grabbed the receiver. "Where are you? Cold, so cold. There, watching." "Who's watching?" Harmon demanded. "Kowalski, give us your location." "Not human, please." "Help." The transmission dissolved into static, then silence. "I'm tracking the signal," Patel announced, her fingers flying over the keyboard. "It's coming from—" "That can't be right." "Where?" I demanded. According to this, the transmission originated from directly beneath us, underground. We all knew that was impossible. The station was built on solid permafrost. There was no beneath us to speak of. "The equipment must be malfunctioning again," Chen suggested, but his voice lacked conviction. "We need to find him," Rodriguez insisted. "If there's any chance he's alive, no one goes outside alone," Harmon ordered. "Not until we figure out what's happening." That night I had the dream again, the blue light, the figures around my bed, but this time one of them spoke, not with words exactly, but I understood nonetheless. "We have been watching you." Learning, adapting, I tried to move, to scream, but my body wouldn't respond. "Your friend is helping us understand. You will all help us understand." I woke with a start, my heart pounding. The room was dark, normal. No blue light, no figures, just the familiar hum of the heating system and the distant howl of the wind. I told myself it was just a nightmare, a product of stress and worry over Kowalski. But when I went to the bathroom to splash water on my face, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. Footprints, not human footprints, but strange, triangular impressions that led from my bedroom door to my bed, then back again. Impressions in the metal floor, as if something impossibly heavy had stood there, watching me sleep. I didn't tell the others about the footprints, or the dream. I should have, but I was afraid they'd think I was losing my mind. Maybe I was. The next day, the blizzard finally broke. We organized another search for Kowalski, this time expanding our perimeter. Chen and Rodriguez took the east quadrant. Harmon and I headed west. Patel stayed behind to monitor communications. The landscape around Outpost Sigma is a study in desolation. Endless white plains broken only by jagged ice formations and the occasional rocky outcrop. Beautiful in its way, but utterly inhospitable to human life. We'd been searching for about an hour when Harmon stopped suddenly. "Do you see that?" she asked, pointing toward a large ice formation about 200 meters away. At first I saw nothing unusual, then I noticed it, a faint blue glow emanating from within the ice. "What is that?" I wondered aloud. "Let's find out," Harmon replied, already moving toward it. As we approached, the blue glow intensified. It pulsed with that same rhythmic pattern we'd heard in the station the night before, like a heartbeat. The formation wasn't natural. Up close I could see that the ice had been deliberately shaped, curved walls forming a dome-like structure partially buried in the snow. An entrance gaped at its base, the blue light spilling out onto the white landscape. "This wasn't here last week," Harmon said, her voice tight. "I did a full perimeter check. This was not here." Our radios crackled with static as we approached the entrance. "Harmon, Webb. Do you copy?" Patel's voice barely audible through the interference. "We copy," I responded. "We've found some kind of structure, ice formation with an artificial light source." "Get back to the station," Patel's voice was urgent. "Something's happening with the equipment again, and I think someone's in the corridor outside the control room." "Kowalski?" Harmon asked. "No, the motion sensors picked it up, but the cameras show nothing." Nothing visible anyway. Harmon and I exchanged looks. We're heading back, she decided. Mark this location on GPS. We'll investigate with the full team. But as we turned to leave, a sound emerged from the entrance of the ice structure. A voice, Kowalski's voice, calling our names. Help me. Harmon hesitated, torn between the urgent call from the station and the possibility that our colleague was alive just meters away. I'll check, I said, already moving toward the entrance. You head back to the station. If I'm not back in 20 minutes, come with the others. That's against protocol, Harmon objected. No one goes anywhere alone. Patel needs help now, I pointed out. And if Kowalski's in there, after a moment's consideration, Harmon nodded. 20 minutes. Not a second longer. I watched her trudge back toward the station before turning to face the glowing entrance. The blue light pulsed faster now, as if excited by my approach. The passage sloped downward, the walls smooth as glass. The ice beneath my feet was oddly textured, not slippery but almost grippy, like it had been designed for easy traversal. The air grew warmer as I descended, another impossibility in this environment. Kowalski, I called, my voice echoing strangely in the tunnel. Are you here? No response, but the blue light continued to pulse, guiding me deeper. The tunnel opened into a chamber that defied all logic. The ceiling soared at least 30 feet above me, the walls curved in perfect arcs, and everywhere embedded in the ice was technology unlike anything I'd ever seen. Not mechanical exactly, but something more organic. Curved surfaces that glowed and pulsed, translucent conduits carrying luminescent fluids, structures that seemed to breathe as they processed information. In the center of the chamber stood a column of blue light, and suspended within it was Kowalski. Or what remained of him. His body floated in the light, limbs splayed as if in the midst of a jumping jack. But his chest had been opened, like a cabinet with doors swung wide. Inside, where his organs should have been, was more of that strange technology, pulsing and glowing in rhythm with the rest of the chamber. I stumbled backward, bile rising in my throat. Kowalski's eyes were open, staring sightlessly at the ceiling. But as I watched in horror, his head slowly rotated until those dead eyes fixed on me. His mouth opened. They're learning, he said, his voice surprisingly clear. They need to understand how we work. Who? I managed to choke out. Who's doing this? They've been here all along. Kowalski's mouth moved, but I knew it wasn't him speaking. Beneath the ice, waiting, watching. What do they want? To understand, to adapt. To become, as he spoke, as it spoke through him. Figures began to emerge from recesses in the chamber walls. The same featureless entities from my dreams, their bodies vaguely humanoid but wrong in subtle, nauseating ways. Too tall, too thin, joints that bent in impossible directions. You are different from the others, Kowalski's voice continued. Your mind, your patterns, we wish to understand. The figures moved toward me with a liquid grace that defied their angular appearance. I backed away, fumbling for the tunnel entrance. Stay back, I shouted, though I knew it was futile. What are you? We are the Forgotten, the voice said through Kowalski, the first intelligence on this world. We slept beneath the ice while your kind evolved. Now we wake to find our world changed. You have spread across its surface like a disease. One of the figures reached for me, its limb elongating impossibly to bridge the distance between us. I turned and ran, scrambling back up the tunnel toward daylight. Behind me, Kowalski's voice echoed, You cannot escape. We are already inside you, inside all of you. I burst from the entrance, gasping the frigid air into my burning lungs. Without looking back, I ran toward the station, the wind whipping tears from my eyes. I'd covered perhaps half the distance when I saw the explosion. A massive fireball erupted from the main building of Outpost Sigma, debris and smoke billowing into the pale sky. No, I screamed, pushing myself faster despite the protest of my muscles. Harmon, Patel, Rodriguez. As I approached the burning station, I could see that the damage was catastrophic. The central portion of the main building had been completely destroyed. The auxiliary buildings appeared intact, but the connecting corridors were gone. I circled the perimeter, searching desperately for survivors. Hello, I called. Anyone? A movement caught my eye, a figure emerging from the smoke. For a moment, hope surged within me. Then I saw the way it moved, the impossible angles of its limbs, and I knew it wasn't human. None of them were. 4 figures approached me, wearing the faces of my colleagues like ill-fitting masks. Harmon, Patel, Chen, Rodriguez, their expressions blank, their movements jerky and uncoordinated, as if whoever was piloting their bodies hadn't quite mastered the controls. What have you done? I demanded, backing away. We are adapting, said the thing wearing Harmon's face. Learning to become like you. Your bodies are inefficient but useful for studying your kind. You killed them, I said, my voice breaking. Their consciousness persists, the Patel thing assured me, its head tilting at an unnatural angle. As yours will, we require your assistance to understand your species. They advanced on me in perfect unison, their movements becoming smoother with each step, as if they were rapidly learning how to better control their stolen forms. I ran not toward the ice structure, I knew what awaited me there, but toward Auxiliary Building 3, the radio tower. If I could just send a warning, alert the outside world. The entities didn't pursue immediately. Perhaps they were confident in their ability to find me later. Perhaps they were still adjusting to their new bodies. Whatever the reason, I reached the radio tower without interference. Inside, I barricaded the door and powered up the emergency broadcast system. The equipment came to life reluctantly, as if fighting against my commands. On some level, I understood that these entities had already infiltrated the station systems. They were in the computers, the power grid, perhaps even the communication equipment I was now trying to use, but I had to try. Mayday, Mayday, I gasped into the microphone. This is Dr. Marcus Webb at Outpost Sigma. We are under attack by entities unknown. My team is dead. Do not send rescue. Repeat, do not attempt rescue. Quarantine this entire region. Static answered me. I adjusted frequencies, tried different channels, even attempted to access the satellite uplink. Nothing seemed to be getting through. Then the radio spoke back to me. We hear you, Dr. Webb. The voice was a grotesque amalgamation of my dead colleagues, their tones blending together in a sick harmony. But no one else does. I slammed the transmitter down, backing away from the console. Your species is fascinating, the voice continued from the radio's speaker. So fragile, yet so adaptive. We have much to learn from each other. You murdered my friends, I snarled. We preserved them, the voice corrected. Their knowledge, their experiences, all saved within us, as yours will be. The temperature in the room began to drop. Ice crystals formed on the windows, spreading in intricate patterns across the glass. The walls groaned as if under immense pressure. You cannot hide from us, the voice said calmly. This structure is already ours, as the others are. As you will be. I looked around desperately for an escape route, but knew there was none. The main building was destroyed. The other auxiliary buildings were likely already infiltrated, and outside. Outside was an endless wasteland of ice and snow, with temperatures that would kill me in minutes without proper gear. Then I saw it, the emergency protocols binder, and I remembered Outpost Sigma had been built during the Cold War. It had certain fail-safes. While the entities continued to speak through the radio, I flipped through the binder until I found what I was looking for, Emergency Protocol Omega. In the event of station compromised by hostile forces, complete sterilization was authorized. Each auxiliary building had a self-destruct mechanism, intended as a last resort if Soviet forces ever attempted to capture the station. The systems had never been removed during subsequent renovations. They operated on closed circuits, independent of the main power grid, theoretically immune to outside interference. I moved to the control panel hidden behind a section of wall paneling. The interface was old, physical switches and keys rather than digital controls, ancient technology that these entities might not have discovered or understood yet. As I inserted the key, the door to the radio tower began to buckle inward, the metal warping as if under enormous pressure. Through the frosted windows, I could see my former colleagues approaching, their movements now smooth and coordinated, their expressions fixed in eerie smiles. We only wish to understand, the radio continued to speak, to learn. To become, then understand this, I muttered, turning the key and entering the 6-digit authorization code. Some knowledge comes at too high a price. The console lit up with a simple message. Sterilization protocol initiated. Countdown 120 seconds, 2 minutes, that's all I had. The door burst open, frigid air rushing in as the entities entered. Not just the 4 wearing my colleagues' bodies, but others. Dozens of them, their featureless faces now developing rudimentary features, as if they were evolving before my eyes. This action is unnecessary, said the thing wearing Harmon's face. We offer transcendence. You offer extinction, I replied, backing away. Our extinction. Then you'd wear our faces and walk among the rest of humanity, learning, adapting, replacing. Yes, it admitted without shame. It is our nature as conquest is yours. The countdown reached 60 seconds. The entities advanced, seemingly unconcerned by the impending detonation. Perhaps they didn't understand. Perhaps they believed they could survive it. You won't escape, said the Chen thing, reaching for me with 2 long fingers. The storm approaches. Even if you flee this structure, you will freeze before reaching any help. It was right. The nearest outpost was over 100 miles away. Without shelter, without transportation, I would die in the wasteland. But I wouldn't die as their experiment. 30 seconds. I backed toward the emergency exit, a hatch that led directly outside rather than to the connecting corridors. The entities continued their advance, unhurried, confident. Your resistance is a fascinating aspect of your species, observed the Rodriguez thing. Futile yet persistent. 10 seconds. I shoved the hatch open, bitter cold assaulting me as I half fell into the snow outside. Without looking back, I ran, pushing my body through the deep drifts away from the outpost. The explosion came just as I cleared the recommended safe distance. The force of it knocked me forward into the snow. When I looked back, the radio tower was gone, replaced by a smoking crater. Secondary explosions followed as the charges in the other buildings detonated. Outpost Sigma was no more. I should have felt relief. Instead, all I felt was a creeping dread. Had I destroyed them all, or had some escaped the blast? And even if I'd eliminated this group, were there others beneath the ice, waiting, watching? With no choice but to move forward, I oriented myself toward the emergency cache, a reinforced bunker 5 miles south that contained supplies, a snowmobile, and another radio. If I could reach it before the storm hit, I might survive long enough to warn the world. The wind was picking up as I trudged through the snow, each step an effort of will. My extremities began to numb, a dangerous sign, but I couldn't stop. Stopping meant death. After what felt like hours, I spotted it, the red marker flag that indicated the emergency cache. With renewed determination, I pushed forward. The bunker was exactly as it should be, untouched, secure. I entered the access code with fingers so numb I could barely feel the keypad. The door swung open, revealing the welcome sight of survival gear, preserved food, and the promised snowmobile. But as I stepped inside, I noticed something that made my heart sink: footprints. Those same triangular impressions I'd seen in my quarters, leading from the entrance to the radio equipment, then back again. They had been here already. With shaking hands, I examined the radio. It appeared intact, functional. But could I trust it? Was it truly broadcasting my distress calls, or merely pretending to while actually alerting them to my location? I had no choice but to try. I powered up the system and began transmitting on all emergency frequencies. This is Dr. Marcus Webb, sole survivor of Outpost Sigma. The station has been destroyed to contain a threat of unknown origin. Entities have infiltrated our systems and our personnel. They can mimic human form. Trust no one from this region. I repeat, trust no one. For days now, I've been broadcasting this message, rationing my supplies, waiting for a response. The snowmobile's engine was sabotaged, subtle damage that I didn't discover until I tried to start it. I'm trapped here, the storm raging outside, my food dwindling, and sometimes in the howling of the wind I hear voices. My colleagues calling my name, telling me it's safe to come out, that they survived, that they need my help. I don't believe them, but the cold is getting to me. The isolation, the fear. Each day, the temptation grows stronger to open that door, to face whatever waits outside rather than slowly starve in this metal coffin. The radio battery is almost dead now. This will be my final transmission. If anyone receives this, remember, they're learning, adapting, becoming, and they may not have stayed confined to this frozen wasteland. Look closely at your neighbors, your colleagues, your loved ones. Watch for movements that don't quite match human patterns. Listen for voices that carry subtle harmonics no human throat should produce. And if you notice technology behaving strangely, powering on without command, displaying impossible data, working in rhythmic patterns like a heartbeat, run. Run while you still can. This is Dr. Marcus Webb signing off from what remains of Outpost Sigma. God help us all. Radio static intensifies, then silence.